يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وآمنوا برسوله يؤتكم كفلين من رحمته.
And so he says, this is in summary, basically of the fuqaha of the Sahaba, we have about 3 to 5 key people who were not only super fuqaha, as we mentioned last week, they were laymen of the Sahaba, fuqaha of the Sahaba, super fuqaha of the Sahaba, super fuqaha that had madahib. Right? So he says that of the Sahaba, the majority of the Sahaba did not have madahib, they didn't have students that followed their way and gave fatwa according to their positions. And he uses this word explicitly. It's very, very important for a Salafi. If you know any Salafi who's questioning madhabs, you should say, Habibi al-Aziz, please read Ilal al-Madini. He says, the Ilal of Ali al-Madini. So who on earth is Ali al-Madini? That's the Sheikh of Bukhari. Oh, subhanallah. Okay, very important, because you're going to see that the Tabi'in had madhabs. Right? The Tabi'in had madhabs. You can mention this explicitly. So he says, there's Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Sayyidina Ali, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Zayd ibn Thabit, Aisha radiallahu anha, and Abdullah ibn Umar. These they're all young apart from the first two. These are somewhat older generation, but somewhat nearly an older generation. These 6 people are extremely important in the future of fiqh. Now, as we know from last week, Sayyidina Umar and Abu Bakr, they're already up there on the top somewhere, right? But there are other fuqaha of the Sahaba that are not so significant. For example, Mu'adh ibn Jabal. Mu'adh ibn Jabal is faqih. The Prophet ﷺ said he had the best knowledge of halal and haram. But where is his fatawa? How significant are his fatawa? We don't see them. Jabir ibn Abdullah. Jabir used to sit in the mosque in Medina and give fatwa, but where are they? Where are these fatawa? You find 1 or 2 here and there, but it's not significant. Whereas for Abdullah Mas'ud, it's very significant. Sayyidina Ali is very significant in more than one school in reality. Abdullah ibn Abbas is extremely important. So what we have then is we have this scholar, and they teach the deen in general. They teach the deen in general. Akhlaq, halal, haram, tafsir, hadith, etc. And then we're going to have circles. So in the beginning of that chapter, we can look at the circles around Abdullah Mas'ud of hadith narrators and the circle of fuqaha. They're not necessarily the same. Faqih is not necessarily muhaddith. They could be both, but they don't have to be. Okay? And so we will see, for example, with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in Kufa, 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations. Same thing with Abdullah ibn Abbas, 1 or 2 generations. Zayd ibn Thabit, the next generation, the next generation. And so we get this trend that there are certain fatawa, so we have certain answers that will be, what's the word? Opposite of pandemic, endemic to Medina, endemic to Mecca, and endemic to Kufa. Right? For example, the Kufans believe in nabidh, right? One of the nabidh, which is an alcoholic beverage that doesn't get you drunk, right? So you find some of the early Muslims saying, "I swear by Allah, I drank wedding nabidh with so and so," meaning what you drink to have it when you're having fun. So they have positions like this, right? Meccans with temporary marriages, Medinans with music. They're famous for having music. Right? It's not really well established, but there are certain positions like that. They'll say these people are famous for this and these people are famous for that. Right? So there are clear, famous discussions. The Kufans are famous, for example, for not joining prayers, and for not joining prayers and saying, for example, touching the opposite sex doesn't break your wudu. Whereas Medina, touching the opposite sex breaks your wudu, and you can join prayers. So there are certain trends. You'll find generation of generation. These kind of hadiths, so there's hadiths in that circle, and there are fatawa in that circle, right? And you come to the next generation, and you're Sufyan al-Thawri coming from this Kufan school with a variety of positions. Yes, there's difference of agreement, but there are certain trends in your mind, right? And so you will find, for example, Sufyan al-Thawri and others will have certain similar positions. They are essentially from the Kufan school. The Meccan school, Sufyan ibn Uyayna ibn Jurayj, and those before them, Ata, etc. Malik ibn Anas, coming from this Medina school, right? So this is the kind of picture that Ali al-Madini draws for us, right? Quoting various different earlier scholars. Now we can add here, because Ali Medini doesn't like Abu Hanifa, doesn't put him there, but we can add here that Imam Abu Hanifa is a key Kufan, right? So if you compare the fiqh of Sufyan al-Thawri and the fiqh of Abu Hanifa, there's many resemblances, many things are similar. Things are different, it's true, but they are essentially graduates from this school, right? From the students of the students of the students of Sayyidina Ali and Abdullah Mas'ud and others. There's others there as well.
To be the first to receive more great videos like this as they're released, click that subscribe button. Also, to take a course and increase your knowledge, go to Kiflayn.com.